And now for the closing ceremony, I'm so grateful for everybody here, for everybody online to have been listening and to allow everybody to really speak what needed to be said. VC, I am handing over to you for the closing ceremony, and after you, I will hand over to Tadesse to close the meeting. VC, thank you so very much for listening to us, and the floor is yours for your closing remarks.
All right, thank you very much. Let me know if you can hear me very well.
Yeah.
Yes, so from a good morning to a good afternoon, some parts of the world we are talking about good evening, and what a day it has been. Amazing day. I'm sure some of the colleagues who have participated in this very important exchange of experiences, reports, and also fending for the human rights, and also trying to defend the Declaration on Human Rights, have actually been awakened, because this day should be a global commemoration where at least there would be silence in the conflict zones of the world. There would be empathy, and also the showcasing of how people can actually live together despite their diversity, despite their background, their ethnicity, religion, tribe, and mention it. So I'm supposed to give a wrap-up, a very brief wrap-up. We want to thank Professor Miriam, who gave a curtain raiser to our discussions and her recent experience to the visit to the Baltics region, and where she was really, really touched by some amazing, they call them no comment communications in the museum and everywhere, but depicting a lot. And what was most important in her message is the anxiety she picked, even without being told by any community members. She felt the anxiety within the communities about their own safety and about losing their freedoms because of the situation with their former, as we know, the Soviet Union. And then TESFA was very, very elaborative in terms of telling us and sharing the experiences in Tigray. And also, the last speaker also spoke a lot about Eritrea and the kinds of inhuman activities that are taking place, trafficking, and also the lack of respect for the human rights. I must say that for our speaker, panelist, Tariq Majid, who is from Gaza, who has been in Gaza, really brought out something that is of a long-lasting nature. Mental trauma and the constant stay under physical danger, given the extent of what is happening in Gaza, and also West Bank and other places, as we know, what the conflict between the Israelis and the Palestinians. And I was quite stunned when Joshua gave a very, very good historic aspect or perspective to the conflict in Gaza. When he said that before there was an independent state of Israel, there was peace. People were living together. So he agreed with some of the other speakers and authors who have written quite a bit. Our panelist, Ilham, did a very great job. And I picked one learning point among many, the way the interested parties are now exporting militias and militarizing everything. Actually, the troubles in neighboring countries are now getting into Sudan, and the need for concerted effort for a joint advocacy plan and working together to actually ensure that we bring out all these issues, especially against women, violence and rape and other terrible things. I also followed really with keen interest what Rima Bass said, among others. She brought actually the economics of insecurity versus criminality and the violation of human rights. So there are benefactors. There are people who benefit out of chaos, like the mining industry. And she really demonstrated how, while people are suffering, the human rights are being abused. There is another group, there are criminal groups that are busy, trying to benefit out of that situation and trying to commercialize humans, and use them for ransom, and it's really so sad. I was really touched so much by Paddy, who really even gambled, can I say, going to meet these gangsters. But what he said really depicts a state under siege. I think Haiti is under siege by gangsters because there is no rule of law. And all the children, and we know most countries in the world, Haiti not excluded, have actually a larger population of the youth. And when he mentioned that the kids there, the young people, they have never seen a ray of peace at all, since they were born. That's really, really catastrophic, and something has to be done. Benoit, I think, gave a very good analysis of the Nagorno-Karabakh problem and dilemma. And I think the issue of ethnic cleansing based on religion is mirrored elsewhere in the world, and it's something that is ingrained. Sometimes the colonies actually do it intentionally to keep their presence by creating long-lasting differences and conflicts in the colonies they have been to. Of course, Kokob talked really passionately, and I think she really was also very, very touched and very emotional about being a woman feminist and a champion for human rights advocacy. She also demonstrated how resilience can pay off if you just keep going. I think that was excellent. Last but not least, I cannot underestimate what Sally Kibo talked about, what Reginald was, gave it a social science aspect as an institution. We need to think about how we do research and also put meaning to it in order to address this piece of challenge that we have. Now, this is my take home as I conclude. Can we think about the following 4 brief questions? The first question I thought about is how do we accurately, fairly, meticulously document all these happenings in the different parts of the world? I think this is where our fair open science agenda comes on board, where we should really be able to collect clean data, process it, and also archive it and retrieve it at any particular time, and also reuse it. The second question is, how do we make the world know, even within our neighborhoods? Things are happening in Eritrea, they're happening in Ethiopia, they're happening in Sudan, they're happening in Somalia, they're happening in Kenya, in Uganda, wherever, in DRC, go to West Africa. But you may be a neighbor to any of those areas and you are not aware. So the task is, how do we increase this communication and make this information available? The third question is, while we plan to become advocates, and try to champion issues of human rights and defend the Human Rights Declaration, there are efforts by those who benefit out of this mess and chaos to block whatever we want to do. So the fundamental question is, what strategies can we put in place as all stakeholders? As somebody, I like the word Ilham used, as actors. How do we put strategies that will reduce blockage of our efforts to ensure that these things are talked about, people are fairly treated, and so on? And the last question is, we may be a few. How do we create more champions so that we carry we become the flag bearers in defending human rights wherever we'll be, whether we are in academia, we are in civil society, we are in the general community. How do we instill this? How do we create more champions? Do we know the value of getting this method into schools? Is there a way we can influence curriculum? Is there a way we can have regional meetings to discuss the regional specific issues? So this is some take-home questions that I would like to advance to you. And I want to thank everybody, our panelists, the people who have sat in who have been following globally. We do appreciate and we don't take your participation for granted. You've made history by being part of the team that has the actors that have celebrated and commemorated this day through reflection. I thank you very much. I hand over back to Professor Miriam so that we can get our most distinguished guests to be able to do the closing remarks. I thank you very much for listening to me.